I just found out my family has been deliberately excluding me from Thanksgiving for years, so my dad can bring the woman he cheated on my terminally ill mom with. Posted by you even amoeba 7262. For background, my 32F mother, deceased at age 67, passed away in 2022 of a terminal illness. A year prior to that, once she was permanently disabled and had to be on oxygen all day, I found out my dad was cheating on her. He showed me something on his computer, and I saw the dating website saved to his browser favorites. I am still somewhat conflicted for not telling her, but I do believe I did what was best, because I honestly think it would have killed her. Not only that, my brother, who has autism, lived with them and relied on them. The weight of that secret felt like having a gun pointed at my own family, so please, I'm not here to be told I should have pulled the trigger. I truly don't feel I was taking my dad's side by not telling Mom. I just wanted to protect her. She died believing she had a loyal husband, and I don't regret that. He was an absolute wreck when she got sick. I mean having to seek emergency mental health prescriptions kind of wreck. While my mom was sick, I tried to convince my dad and his parents that we should try to move her to a place with better air quality once she was well enough. Doing so would have brought her either to her home state, East Coast United States, where I moved to after graduating, and her whole side of the family lives, or potentially to where my dad's parents live, West Coast. I'd tried to convince them for years leading up to my mom's final sickness to move her from the very dusty place my immediate family lived, and was always brushed off. My mom was so isolated there, and I could tell she was unhappy. I can tell you from experience that it's next to impossible to make friends there, even for someone without physical limitations. I'd call Mom nearly every day from my state, her home state, and we'd talk for ages. She told me once that I just didn't know how much that helped her. It was a very rare expression of her sadness. She was a gentle soul who desperately didn't want to burden anyone with anything. At one point, I was riding to the hospital with my dad, just trying to figure out why. They had the means, so why not? It suddenly struck me. Dad doesn't want to move, because Dad has a mistress here that he doesn't want to leave. I said this revelation out loud, and he broke down sobbing. Not defending himself. Not denying it. I felt sick. My mom was probably the sweetest person I've ever known. She was my best friend, and until this, I'd never kept a secret from her. It's the worst thing I've ever done. The secret was one thing, but letting it affect her health. Keeping her so far away from her friends and family for however much time she had left. It still infuriates me. She died, and we shipped her back east to be buried. A few months went by, and I was talking to my autistic brother on the phone. I hear a woman speaking in the background. I ask who that is, and he tells me it's Candy, fake name. I have no idea who this Candy is, but my heart sinks, because I do know. Just 3 months, and the mistress has already set foot in my mother's home. Brought around my vulnerable brother who doesn't tell us if he's ever being mistreated. Time goes by, and I really don't discuss Candy with my dad. I just try to get my brother to tell me if he's uncomfortable at all around her, or if she's ever mistreated him in any way. He speaks almost entirely in scripting, which is repeating things he's heard on cartoons or read in books, so I really have no way of knowing. Fast forward about a year. My dad's parents are planning a huge family trip to Hawaii, which they've talked about my whole life. It's around this time that they drop by my town for a quick visit while they're on a road trip. It's during this visit that I talk to them about Candy and reveal just how long she's been around. Shortly after, they canceled the Hawaii trip, with some excuse about not finding the hotel they wanted or something. But I just knew. Candy had been invited, so the whole trip was off to prevent us from meeting. Fast forward to now a couple of years later, 3 since my mom's passing. I have not been to my dad's house since right after Mom died, when he wanted us to sort through her belongings. That was awfully quick now that I think about it. Candy lives there now. I don't know how long, but maybe the whole time. I haven't been to my grandparents' house on the West Coast since before Mom died. It's not possible every single year due to the cost. But before Mom died, my dad's side would at least call me on speakerphone once or twice, while my immediate family visited them, telling me they missed me and wish I could be there. These past few years have been suspiciously quiet during the week of Thanksgiving. Not a peep from anyone. I didn't even know my dad and brother were going to my grandparents' house until an aunt texted me out of the blue to say hello and wish I was there. It got me thinking, why don't they call on Thanksgiving of all times? And damn, I'm so tired of being right. It's because Candy has been going all along. My own family, who accepted a mistress with open arms because she's very good with your brother, has been excluding their own daughter and granddaughter from holidays. I realized all this on my own and called my dad tonight to confirm it. She has indeed been going to Thanksgivings, and I don't even get an invite. My dad skirts around talking about it and hands the phone to a very young cousin. I chat with him, and eventually he passed the phone to my grandma. She tries the old wish you were here, and I'm not having it. I tell her that's weird, because I wasn't even invited. Haven't been invited in years. And don't hear so much as a peep from Wyall the whole week of Thanksgiving, for years. I call them out, and of course they don't want to hear it. My grandma even spilled the reason the Hawaii trip was canceled without me even asking. And of course I was right again. She said this is why we had to cancel Hawaii. I knew it, I said. The Hawaii trip I can kinda understand. I don't believe they knew Candy was a mistress before planning the trip, so I can see how they'd invite her without knowing, though still weird to invite your son's girlfriend to Hawaii with the family less than a year after his wife's passing. But that's just me. Thanksgiving, though, this feels deliberate. This feels like they've chosen a homewrecker over their own family. These past few years, they've really pushed for me to get therapy, which, granted, I need, but it ticks me off that it's only so I don't cause any trouble for them. I've looked past a lot and forgiven a lot. I lost my mom. I didn't want to lose my dad, too. I've heard that people in my situation, with a terminally ill mom getting cheated on or abandoned by the husband, a lot of the time the adulterer parent is dead to them after. In a way, I don't really get that choice. I need to know what goes on in my brother's life. I'll be his caretaker one day. But now, I don't feel like this is my family anymore, except for my brother. I'm obviously hurt as hell, but my grandma thinks I'm overreacting. That I'm the reason that I'm being excluded. It explains why she's flown out to me a couple of times, talking about how she's here for me, the importance of family. It's just her guilty conscience. I feel like this is enough to cut contact permanently, but maybe just accept the occasional details on brother's life and health. You're a champ for making it this far. My trauma dump had a lot of context, but important for the whole picture. Just to add, I highly doubt Candy was unaware of my mom. Mom was housebound for the most part, and would have been pretty much impossible to hide from her. Unless maybe she's just a very gullible mistress and bought the cliché excuses that cheaters give. I'm also pretty sure she stole one of my mom's purses. Hope everyone is having a happier Thanksgiving than me, lol. Editing to add. My mom became disabled around 2014 due to a genetic illness that affects the lungs over time. My dad was aware of her health before marrying her in the late 80s. They actually eloped so she could get on his better insurance sooner. In 2014, she was put on oxygen permanently and became mostly homebound, but ultimately she was still herself until her final few weeks in the ICU in 2022. My father did need to do a bit more to help out around the house, but it was nothing compared to what all my mom did when my brother and I were growing up. I honestly can't wrap my brain around how she could balance being a supermom while working and suffering from near debilitating rheumatoid arthritis, which I'm sure worsened her lung illness severely. My maternal grandmother died from the same thing. I have the genetic variant for it just like my mom and maternal grandma did, but thankfully there are treatment options today. Update 6 days later. On Thanksgiving Day, I decided to call my family while everyone was gathered up in the same place. I waited until I was sure they'd be done with Thanksgiving dinner, but I'm sure I'll be called dramatic regardless. I had typed up a letter saying everything important that I wanted to say. But ultimately, my boyfriend convinced me it's best not to allow any back and forth with them without a licensed therapist present. I called everyone simply to say that I would not be carrying on with contact unless it's during family therapy with a telehealth psychologist. That didn't go exactly as planned. I was able to reach my grandma and asked if she could put me on speakerphone so everyone can hear. "Are you going to be nice?" she asked, as if I've ever not been, so I took a page out of everyone else's book and deflected, asking if everyone was there. I made the announcement, and my grandma was thrilled when she heard therapy, saying she thinks therapy would be a great idea for me. "Nope," I said. "If I'm doing therapy, I'm not doing it alone." I may have forgotten to mention, my grandma, since learning of my dad's infidelity, has done nothing but make excuses for him and tried to spin this as ultimately a positive thing for my brother to have someone around to help. Maybe it is, but I don't think it's a good idea to trust someone like Candy with him. The only supportive person on the call was my aunt, by marriage, the one who texted me letting me know my family was visiting there in the first place. After I made my announcement, I heard my grandpa say something in the background, but couldn't catch any of it. My grandma reprimanded him, so no doubt it was something snarky, as expected. I held it together fairly well until my grandma started saying how missed I am and how everyone wishes I was there. I said I doubt that, and long story short, called them out for not inviting me for years, and even avoiding me during Thanksgivings, aka, not calling at all. I never said anything about Candy or the affair, there were children present, but most people in the room were aware of the issue. I let loose on my dad as soon as it was just me and him, asking why there's a homewrecker at Thanksgiving, and I wasn't even invited. He actually tried to defend her, saying she wasn't a homewrecker, and I wasn't having it. I said, "You have me to thank for that, having to lie to my own mom, but Candy very easily could have been a homewrecker. Good women do not poach a sick woman's husband, and because he knows that I know the truth about her, he stayed silent. That's what he does. He won't specifically deny that she knew about my mom, so he doesn't say anything at all. That's how he operates, and how I know it's true. I won't pretend to understand what it's like to have a terminally ill and disabled spouse. Frankly, I don't believe that the vast majority of people can honestly say how they'll react to that situation until they live it. My dad was one of the good ones for not outright abandoning my mom. The guilt ate him alive while my mom was dying. One of the only times I ever saw him cry was when I realized he had a mistress. The only other times were when my mom was dying or died. We didn't speak much about Candy or even Mom after she passed. It was too painful for both of us. He made a point of it to be as supportive a father as he could, without myself and Cindy overlapping, of course. I know I'll have to meet her someday. I admit, this has affected how I see relationships and love. I truly believe that should I get married, no matter how good this fictional husband seems, and I get sick someday, he'll do the same thing. Because odds are he will. It's not uncommon at all apparently. I even heard a joke about it. Something like if a man doesn't bring a date to his wife's funeral, he's taking things slow. Pessimistic, sure, but true, probably. What really hurts is that I never made any kind of demands or ultimatums. No me or her at all, but my family seems to have made that decision on their own. They have ways of getting in contact if they want to do therapy. My maternal aunt has been my rock through all this, and she will relay any important info about my brother to me and let me know if they reach out to her about therapy. Thankfully, my brother has a cell phone he can call me on, so I don't have to go through anyone else to speak to him. Almost everyone else is now blocked. My dad didn't sound serious about therapy at all. He ended the call with "We'll talk soon." I said "at therapy," and he repeated himself, "We'll talk soon." He has since reached out to my maternal aunt, and it sounds like she got through to him a bit. I think my dad understands now how serious this is now, and I think given enough time for everyone to cool off and set up appointments, he'll probably be willing to talk eventually. He's not someone who stigmatizes therapy or mental health exactly, but he's somewhat avoidant of his problems, so it may take time. My grandparents. I think there's a decent chance I'll never hear from them again. They'll try to get around therapy. My grandma would probably be willing, but my grandpa won't, and as long as he won't, then she won't. Grandpa is technically a step-grandpa, and since he has bio-grandkids that he's just crazy about from my uncle now, he won't care one way or another if I'm out of the picture. Thanks again everyone for letting me vent, and for the advice. Even I haven't been terribly responsive, it still means a lot to read your insight and have support. It's been a lot to process. I'll try to give any updates if or when they happen. Thank you again. Relevant comments. Commenter. Did op parents have an agreement in the marriage? Op response. Unfortunately, I don't believe my mom was in on it. A few weeks after seeing the dating site saved to his browser favorites, I confronted my dad, but all I was able to say was that he needs to hide it better if he's going to go down that route. I'm ashamed for it, but at the time I was living with my parents and couldn't really offer my mom a life elsewhere. After that, I'd hoped my dad would just get it out of his system and be done with it. When I deduced that there was a mistress a few years later, my dad didn't deny it. I knew my mom didn't know. My dad shuts down when he's ashamed. If I ever guess something and he doesn't reply, it's always meant that it's true and he can't bring himself to say it. I truly believe he would have told me there was some kind of agreement with my mom if there was one.